For years, I worked in an industry in a position where they would have an emergency operating procedure. They had other procedures, a standard operating procedure, a method of procedure. But of course, the emergency operating procedure was when there was an emergency. And the procedure, step by step, told you how to address the emergency. Now, an emergency is chaos, it's unplanned. There's no exact way to handle it because there's a lot of variables. But a procedure is structure so that the chaos does not become uncontrollable. And I often share this with creativity. Creativity is like chaos, right? And you need to structure it. Everything needs that balance, that yin and that yang. You need flexibility to be able to adapt to a field condition that may be unplanned for, but you also need discipline, a step-by-step process on how to analyze it and how to address it. And so I found it interesting as I go on my journey in life, how an emergency operating procedure and that thought process behind it on how to address issues that bring you anxiety, that bring you turbulence, that bring you heartache. How do you address them? And at the core of it is the answer of one step at a time. And you often hear the reference also to one day at a time. Because without that structure of one step at a time, one day at a time, the chaos of life is uncontrollable. Okay. And so now that you break things down on a very basic level, obviously there's more to it. And let me explain to you. So the first emergency operating procedure that I was doing, I remember the manager saying, when you're doing it, don't panic, because if the leadership panics and doesn't communicate, then it filters down. And of course I panicked a little bit, because like everything in life, you have to do things several times. Everything you do for the first time, your first kiss, the first house you buy, the first car breakdown you have, everything that is done the first time, there's panic. Okay? It's just human nature, and you have to go through that. And that's why I encourage all people, but definitely younger people, to, at a certain level, embrace failure, embrace failing a test, embrace being scared, embrace a hard job, embrace taking the promotion, because that anxiety is not negative, it's positive. You need to go through it. Embrace a maintenance fee with the HOA. Embrace that it's more complicated to buy a house than to be parked in an alley for the rest of your life. Embrace the fact that your best life requires you dealing with chaos and stress. Thank you, Andrew. Good to see you. And thank you, Outdoor Matt. Remember, good people, and thank you, good people in the chat, working with good people and being in a community with good people is worth the headache of changing jobs and changing locations. The people around you determine your quality of life to a big extent. And this first operating procedure I was doing years ago, it was around some of the people. It was like two different entities working in the same building, and some of the people were very negative because they were territorial. I want to tell you, when you come in a job or you come in a community and people are territorial, that's too much pride, and you're in a no-win situation. And many times in life, whether it's emergency or non-emergency, when you find yourself in that environment, when you're in a no-win environment, what you need to do is survive. And again, I reference my young people. When you're very young, survive. Survive going to dangerous clubs, survive crazy breakups, survive crazy things. Because survival is part of an emergency. Get through it without extreme consequence. Okay? And so I was in this very tough position in this job. It was my first time doing some critical things, and the people, there were some good people, some bad people, some territorial people that wanted to see us fail, and there was like a no-win. So I focused on my role. I focused on, even though I wasn't the best at it, handling myself with a level of dignity and respect, and And kind of when I panicked a little bit was when the people who were prideful and a little bit wanted to see us fail, they weren't communicating. So when there wasn't a communication, there was like, to me, an anxiety, because it's like we're doing something critical. And, it's very similar. I remember I learned when I went to the dentist. I had a good dentist and a bad dentist. For many years, I had one of the best dentists ever, very patient man. And I remember him always telling me, like, okay, Sam, now I'm taking this dentist tool. I'll be putting it here. You'll feel pressure in the back of your gum. Now I'm taking this water and I'm washing the back of your teeth. He would always take the effort, to explain even a basic thing he was doing. Why? Relieve anxiety. And one day he told me, I said, and one day he told me, he goes, Sam, I'm telling you everything I'm doing so it relieves your anxiety, because I'm putting myself in your position. You don't know all these different instruments. You're looking up, you're scared. You just see all these tools going in your mouth, all these noises. That brings anxiety. My job is to relieve your anxiety, not just so you have a better experience, but so I'm able to do my job better. Remember, if the leader is in a panic position and not communicating, the patient or the coworkers, everyone panics. A job of an emergency operating procedure is to relieve panic so you can focus on the steps. You gotta have steps. You can't just wing it. You can't just go by your gut. That's what I always tell people, and I check myself. Your gut matters, but your gut doesn't override science every step. You can't just go, okay, I feel like doing this. I feel like doing that. No. What does the data say? Like when you go to the hospital, they check your blood pressure. They may pull your blood. They hook you up to check your heart rate. These things are not your gut feeling. They're data. They're science. They're and then of course there's no exact, but you need that foundation. Okay. You need something, just like a budget. You can't just say, oh, I feel like buying this. Well, you could feel like it, but it's going to have consequence, because you need the structure of, is it below your means? Is it at your means, et cetera, right? That's how you end up, repossessed, foreclosure, because you didn't do the math. You just went by your gut. And that's okay. But this is, what we're sharing again, and what I'm sharing through my life experience. I hope it helps. If it does, click the thumbs up. Thank you, Faithful, for coming in also. I appreciate that. Remember, when you're in an emergency, don't panic, even though it's very hard and we all fail, so don't feel bad if you did. 2 is look at the steps. Okay. You have to have some flexibility, but you also have to have some structure. And then 3 is you take it one step at a time, and then you evaluate the results. And then you may need to backtrack. You may need to call for help. You may need to reassess, but you can't go from the first step to the last step, and then you have to take it one step at a time. It's basic life procedure. You can't go from making an offer on a house to closing tomorrow. You have to go through the 3-day lawyer review, maybe. You have to go through the deposit process. You have to go through the inspection period. You can waive a lot of things. You got to go through the title search. And the same thing when you sell. And sometimes in life, we want the quick, easy way. And it puts us in more of an emergency. And even sometimes myself, I say, this cheaper way is cheaper and easier, but long term, it's costly and it's less quality of life. And that's why I say your best life at some point may require home base. Your best life at some point, whatever it is. I mean, there's so many different scenarios in life. You have to figure your own life out. Okay, I'm sharing with you some of my life here. But, whether you're a real estate agent dealing with a real estate transaction, your job is to navigate. A real estate agent is very similar to a therapist. All jobs are similar to a therapist. Your job is to keep the buyer or the seller calm and walk them through the steps. If you're a dentist, your job is to either fill the cavity or do the cleaning and explain to your patient one step at a time. Now, the bad doctors, the bad real estate agents, the bad people in life, the bad leaders, they don't communicate. They rush through it. They just want the check or they just want the next patient. And they leave a bad experience and they leave a toxic environment. When you're in that environment, you survive it. You don't badmouth it. You don't bad review it. You take ownership. You gracefully exit. You don't burn the place down. You gracefully exit. Anyone who burns the place down in spite, that fire will chase you throughout your life. Never forget it. Click the thumbs up. So I want to share with you in life, an emergency operating procedure is to keep you focused, to keep you informed, and to give you some structure to deal with chaos. Whether we're talking about a building, whether we're talking about a physical emergency or in a hospital, whether we're talking about a transaction, you're going through a big financial transaction. You have to take it one step at a time. If you rush through it, or if you don't communicate, or if you don't look at the literature, there's going to be a higher level of anxiety, a higher level of failure. Remember, life, there's no guarantees. Risk management is not it's not disaster avoidance. It's management of complete disaster. Okay. And remember, when you don't respect risk, there'll be a complete disaster around the corner. Because your gut will never be right 100% of the time. I'll tell you right now. And some things in life, you got to do things that don't feel good. So yeah, sometimes your gut keep you safe. Sometimes your gut will keep you in your house with the blankets over your head your entire life. Click the thumbs up. If you didn't wake up till 4 and you want to go shopping for organizing containers, I saw a beautiful, smart, intelligent couple's YouTube channel today. You say they have their stuff together. They have almost 2 million subs. They're full-time YouTubers. They have a big house in Tennessee. Beautiful young couple. They have life figured out. I want to be like them. Well, until they share some of their life. That's all. If you're lonely, talk to someone who's married. This beautiful, famous YouTuber was saying today, she felt anxiety and out of control. She just got out of the house at 4 p.m. She was talking about taking a nap. Yeah, I want to tell you guys. And the solution was not to wake up early, to stay productive, to organize. The solution was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to go to Target or some store and buy containers to organize the house, to try to structure the chaos. No. I'm not saying that in disrespect. I'm saying that in observation of life. And also to encourage you, sometimes you think someone beautiful, someone famous, someone rich, they got it all, you don't. I want to tell you. But I want to tell you, don't sell yourself short. Don't do nothing because you don't want no problems. You're going to have problems anyway. The hardest thing you'll ever do in your life is try to do nothing with your life. It's the hardest work ever. Never fear a job. Never fear work. I remember one time there was a lot of work coming my way and I didn't like it. But I remember someone did it once and it always stuck with me. They said, Sam, I'm not scared of work. And just saying that, I said it and it helped me. And I said, you know, it's just like, don't be pussy, whip the pussy. I mean, don't be so scared, You can't be that scared of everything. But the only way to alleviate fear is to go through. So either way, that's 15 minutes. If you can't get the message across in 15 minutes, that's a problem. Don't need to be too long-winded. Some things in life take more than 15 minutes, okay? One step at a time. That's the hardest part about an emergency. You can't rush it complete. Very hard. And I empathized. I don't judge because we all go through panic, anxiety, and stress. But this word of encouragement is to structure your anxiety one step at a time, one day at a time, and focus on the steps, the data, and then evaluate. Okay. The data doesn't say everything, but it says a lot. Then evaluate, then reassess, etc., etc. Let's go on some of the live comments. Again, if you haven't already, click the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Free way to support the channel. Subscribe if you're not. Share the video. Thank you again. Again, thank you, Andrew, for joining. You said, Sam, you're a true inspiration. I appreciate that. I'm doing the best I can, and so are you. Okay, I appreciate you. One day at a time. You nailed it. You're an inspiration. Outdoor Matt, always leaving positive comments. Thank you for your positive mindset. Faithful says she agrees. I believe it's a girl. Forgive me if I'm wrong. She is working with a toxic person, she's saying. This is her last week on that job. Well, I wish you well on your new job. I hope you have a new job. We have record low unemployment. Remember, if you quit a job and you don't have another job, you're putting yourself in an emergency, and you're trading work stress for poverty stress. It's like when you quit a job and you don't have another job, you're not relieving yourself of anxiety. You're just trading anxiety. You're trading it for dealing with people. Now you got to deal with poverty. And I want to tell you guys, if you got to deal with something, deal with people and get the bag, because it's easier to get another job when you have a job. It's easier to make a change when you're financially stable. If everything in your life is an emergency, then everything's harder on you. If you're self-interested, not about philosophy. It's not about like shaming people to do anything. This is about for your self-interest and for my self-interest. You got to take care of yourself well. And transitions are shocking, painful, and what you need in a transition is stability. We talk about flexibility a lot, and it's needed, but people sometimes they forget you also need stability. You need both. Okay, good job. Best of luck to you. Andrew, there is always steps to everything. That's right. You find yourself skipping steps, you'll find yourself in trouble. Yes, that's correct. I've done it. I empathize with failure and panicking and stressing. We all do it. So this is not in judgment. We're pushing forward. Good job. Living good. Thank you for coming in. Hey, Sam, hope you're doing well. I hope the same for you. Living good, and everyone, and this is for myself included. I was watching Wu-Tang and Ghostface Killer did a 50 years of hip-hop concert, and I was watching it on YouTube. And during the concert, the DJ did a great job. One of the songs he played was an instrumental from the sitcom series Cheers, from Boston Cheers, the bar. And one of the songs they just played in the middle of the concert, I thought was very good, was, "You wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came." And that reminded me of when I moved in a wrong community with wrong people, and they didn't celebrate you. I said, oh. And that's when you got to move. You want to go where you're celebrated in that store. You're celebrated in that community. Because if you're not celebrated where you live, I want to tell you guys, your life going to be harder than it needs to be. Andrew, $20 super chat. Andrew, thank you for being gracious. You didn't have to do it. And I thank you, Andrew. I acknowledge you. I know you're making a lot of comments on my channel. And I know that leaving a comment sometimes on a YouTube channel is not easy. I know sometimes I'm short with people. Thank you, Andrew, for your gracious tip. Appreciate it very much. Don't take it for granted. He goes, just returning the love. Very gracious of you. Been watching your old videos, really helping me. Well, I appreciate that, Andrew. Thank you. And, and that's kind of what we're talking about, like customer service and reciprocal. You hear me use that word a lot, reciprocal appreciation. Now, we all fall short, so I'm not going to say everywhere you go all the time, you're always going to be celebrated. That's not the answer. But I'm saying overall, okay, and I'm saying in general, you want to go towards that energy. You don't want to go to where people always backtalk you. People always look at. I remember, Andrew, and everyone listening, is so important. Because recently, I made a big decision. Don't tell anyone when you're in an emergency. Only tell the people that need to know. Very important. When you're in an emergency, the last thing you need to do is tell people that are unstable, because it's going to make it worse. So true. But I was going through this situation, and I noticed that everyone in this area, from the store to the community to the surrounding, everyone had a certain body language. 80% of all communication is nonverbal. And I could tell people did not like their environment. It looked beautiful. There was a lot of high income, so you would think, oh my God, I'm not in the projects, I'm not in a bad area, everything should, no. And that's all I'll tell you too, guys. Just remember, culture is not just economic. Some of it's economic, but culture is the personality of the overall people in an environment, work, community, cafes, school systems, and the culture in this overall community was low, unwelcoming, and everyone seemed like they were in survival for peace and joy and suffering. And I said, oh my God, did I work so hard in life to get to a place where people are not excited about going through, some fun things? I said, no way. If you ever get to a place where there's no enthusiasm, there's no joy, and I'm not saying people are going to be happy all the time, that's not real. But I want to tell you guys, when people are negative most of the time, that's not healthy. Leave, uproot, sell, transfer, whatever you got to do. Responsibly, in order, may take a year, may take you 2 years, but start and take the steps. And when you're frustrated, remember, one step at a time, one day at a time. That's the ultimate emergency operating procedure. Thank you, Andrew. Back to live comments. Forgive me if I miss any. Marcy, good to see you. Sam, thank you, Marcy. It's always good to see you. Thank you for your positive comments. First talk. Hello, Sam. Good to see you. Same to you. Oh, hey, Mimi. I remember you. Jesse, also from Florida. I remember you both. How are you? Thank you. Hey, Lewis. Beard's on fire. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for your positive comments. First talk. I tackle life 5 minutes at a time. Well, sometimes it's 1 second at a time. There's nothing wrong with that. Faithful. I have a book that's being published. I will be okay. I had a self-published book. I had my own self-published book, and what I could tell you, it's more of a therapy session for you than it is for the marketplace. You're not going to make much money, and creativity, there's a reason they say starving artists. You need a W-2. You need a steady income, or else you're going to be a starving artist. And I say that through my experience, but I wish you well. I'm not here to hurt you or to steal your dream. I have no desire to do that. It's a desire to see you in a stable place for yourself. Because when you put yourself in an emergency, more people will take advantage of you. If you think your coworker is toxic, wait until you have to share an apartment with someone who also left their job, and 2 people who don't have steady income have to live in the same house. You haven't seen toxic. That's the sales pitch to keep a W-2 stable job. Because I want to tell you guys, there's nothing more toxic than being in a position where you have to be around other people that you need to survive. It's very tough. Remember, a job, a profession, you don't have to like the people you work with because you get paid. If you don't get paid, you have to live with people you don't like because you don't got money. So pick your poison. I want to tell you guys, Jordan, hey, top nomad on YouTube, 6 years strong. Well, I thank you, brother. I'm not, I don't know if I'm the top, but I just do me. And the longer I've been doing this, like everything, a little bit the easier it gets, and a little bit more I become more focused on not getting too involved in the people who watch your channel's story, but at the same time encouraging them, and also too, not arguing with people as much and just not replying as much. Because, again, what I would tell a YouTuber, it's like a doctor-patient protocol. A good doctor loves his patients. He doesn't look down on them, a good doctor. But at the same time, you need boundaries. You can't get too close to your patients because it's unhealthy for both of you. It's just like having a romance in your workplace. It's like, yeah, there's stories of finding love at your workplace, but it also could really destroy your job and your personal life. So you got to be very careful, and you got to focus on what you need to do. And your profession and your personal life need to be a little bit different. And of course, areas of creativity, which is YouTube, that boundary can become clouded, okay? Because you can tend to think it's not a real job, and you shouldn't quit your W-2 for a 1099. It's not in that, but it is a job. You do have to give your social security number to YouTube. You do have to pay taxes. It's a it's a job. It's not, You ain't just painting. Okay, you're paying taxes. Okay, you're filed with the IRS. So there's a boundary. Okay, you know, and you got to remember that, or else you're going to lose. You got to keep your sanity. Remember, if you lose your well-being, you can't take care of anyone. Remember, when you visit someone in the hospital, you can't be sick. Sometimes, especially now, like even with COVID, they won't even let you in. So remember, you have to take care of yourself first. You know, it's important. Andrew, thank you again, Andrew. Truly appreciate that gracious tip. Thank you. And thank you for your positive comments. Traveling over 50. Been watching your old videos every day. You're such a treasure. Well, thank you. You know, a lot I've met, and I want to use this opportunity. I apologize. Blanton was a guy, a young kid, that even though, you know, I didn't like certain things, he was a good guy. And so I think about sometimes the good people that I've had a bad conversation with online. And I feel for them because I love them. I know they're good people. We just, you know, sometimes online, it's like real life. You know, you have a disagreement. But there's been a lot of good people, some bad, and of course you have some really out there. You know, that's the other tough part. You don't want to share everything publicly. You know, and I've learned that. I've made the mistake. I said I got to share less. But it doesn't mean you want to stop sharing completely, per se. It's a balance, and it never stops. It's like a reevaluation. Okay, you know, exactly. I share too much here, share a little bit less because privacy. But you know, sharing is also a gift. It's a balance. It is a balancing. First talk. My small town divided itself due to politics. I want to tell you, any culture that talks about politics more than does positive daily efforts to improve their life and the life of the community, they're negative people. You can't win them. You can't win them. It's a negative cycle. You can't win with that. Yeah, and it's always been like that. So it's not nothing new under the sun. I mean, that's all. You know, that's just the masses are very much like that. You know, I want to tell you guys. Here's a pro tip. I've been in the worst communities, some of the worst in the country, and I've been in some of the best. That's a fact. And it's an interesting thing. In the very elitist communities, there's no political signs. And in the very poor, same thing. So really, it's in the middle to lower to middle class communities that politics and religion plays a big part in what they express on their front lawn. Rich people don't care, and poor people don't care. So how do you control the people in the middle, the masses? Politics and religion. Just let them keep going in a circle. Think about that. Okay. Oh, another gracious tip, John Pond. $4.99 Doctor Psychopath Relationship. Time to make the copay. Jordan, thank you, man. You've been with me a long time, and that's an important lesson. I know you're an up and coming YouTuber, and not just a YouTuber, you're just an up and coming great young person that has a lot of great gifts. Remember, you passed your real estate license. Remember, you have got back into the workforce, and remember, stay in the workforce until you can retire, because it's harder to get back in the workforce once you leave for a long period of time. And remember that there always needs to be boundaries. So I am very grateful that you're in here, because I know that as you go on your journey, remember, never look down on anyone, because we've all been up and down, if we're honest. But don't feel bad about respectfully putting up boundaries. Because if you can't have a boundary with someone, whether it's your father or a friend online, it's going to destroy your life. Because that's a healthy thing to have a boundary, to have some things for yourself. And, you know, first talk, $5 super chat also. Blessings to you, Sam, Mimi, and Jesse Beagle. Well, I appreciate that so much. I mean, thank you with sincerity. You know, and I know what it is to have a dog. I also know what it is to go into the hospital and have a dog. You know, when I was in the hospital, what did I think about? My dog. Who's going to take care of my dog? So, but either way, let's focus on the positive. And the positive is that, you know, look, just one day at a time. I mean, I can say so many crazy things, so many fake things, just one day at a time. The biggest emergency, the biggest way to deal with an emergency is one step at a time, one day at a time. That structure to stress. Say that with me. one step at a time, one day at a time. That is structure to stress. So you say, why do they have emergency operating procedures, EOPs? Because the only way to deal with chaos and critical events is structure and simplify things to a step-by-step process. And after every step, you analyze. There's no guarantee that everything's going to work out, but that's the best thing that we have to deal. Okay. And I want to tell you from the very top, that's the truth. Thank you again, everyone. Very gracious to me tonight. Keith, good to see you, brother. Shout out to Indiana and the very wealthy Naples, west coast of Florida. Great area. Thanks for your inspiration. Thanks for staying with me, man. Still in Naples and loving it. I thought about you the other day. And I said to myself, man, that I hope you are still in Naples, because I felt the same way being in Southeast Florida. I said, man, we have a similar passion and love for South Florida. We're on different coast. But the love that we have for the sun, and the humidity's been getting less. We're getting close to fall temperatures. And the culture. Now, in certain areas, because again, I can travel an hour north or an hour south or a half hour. The culture changes every half hour. When you find and culture is a little bit individual to your personality. You have to put yourself, see, in the climate, you could be in a climate that's the same. Because if I travel a half hour north or south, climate's the same, but the culture's different. And that matters, because after you deal with an emergency at work or in your personal life, you don't want to come home to a community, to a place where there's also chaos. You can never recoup. You can never recharge your batteries, and that's important. Good to see you, Keith. Crazy for books, Aaron. Aaron, I'm glad you're in here. I hope you're still in here. One is, I love you. I respect you. You've been so gracious to me. I know you're pulling for you. You and Movano. I know you're always pulling for me. And I think you both studied psychology. So I want you both to hear this. I respect psychology. I respect therapists, caseworkers. You know that. And so I always get hurt inside when sometimes I say certain statements and they don't apply to like you to Malvano. I mean, these are just things that I'm sharing. I'm always sensitive that I hope certain people aren't taking this personal. And that's a creative person. That's always the balance when you're doing something creative. It's like, I want to share something that's like raw truth, but it doesn't necessarily apply to certain people that may be in a same situation. This is a statement, and it's very tough balance. But I think you know what I mean. I love you, and I respect you. First Talk, congratulations, Faith. Thank you again, First Talk. Faith, thank you. Faith, good luck on your journey. I wish you the best. Jordan, thank you again. First Talk, thank you again. Andrew, thank you again. Thank you all. Grandma Ray, hey, thank you for your comments. First Talk, we appreciate you. Reciprocal. Thank you. Elena, hey. Jordan, shout out to all the beautiful people from Nacos and Marcos Island. I want to tell you guys, I told someone the other day, man, I mean, I've traveled all around, and East Coast, I won't say West Coast of the world, but most places are a dump, guys. I mean, and if you can be around good weather, the beach, and good people, nothing's perfect. But I mean, where do you go from there? To me, it's like what I say. Oh, I want to leave. I want to leave South Florida to go to, Idaho, to go to Maine, to go. Not even seasonal. Why? But that's me. That's personal. But that's how I feel. I love South Florida. Andrew, what's the cheapest RV land that you've come across in Southeast Florida? In Southeast, around $200,000 just for a RV lot, and that's the cheapest. In Central Florida, or in the Panhandle, you could probably get close to $100,000, maybe even less if it's in the middle of nowhere type deal. But to be by the coast, it's going to be at least $200,000. And even that now is hard to find. So, really for a raw RV lot, and there's not many communities like that in Southeast Florida. So remember, it's like, supply and demand. Like if you're looking at condos, they're more of a home, they're more of an appreciating asset. But there's always exceptions. There's a lot more fees, condo fees, and insurance, especially in South Florida. So, and there's a lot more condos, so there's more supply than demand. But I will acknowledge that an RV lot, an RV, and a mobile home, well, the mobile home and the RV themselves are a depreciating asset. When you own the land, even if it's an RV lot, it's still an appreciating asset, because a lot of these RV lots now, they don't put RVs on them, they put single family block homes. And more, these communities that once had a small mobile home or RV, now they have $1 million single family home. So it's very even rare now to even find a raw RV lot. So it's not a bad investment if you own the land, even if you put an RV or mobile home, because there's very few properties that are by the beach or on the beach that are that. And eventually they're going to build all single family homes like that. So, the thing is, you always be close to your neighbors. Um, but condo, same thing. In a single family house, you could have a lot of expense. So I understand, because I've struggled with that myself. A condo is more of a home. Um, but with the insurance and with the fees right now, it's not a no-brainer. But I would say once I get into probably my late 50s and 60s and 70s, I'd probably prefer a condo. But by then, there may be even more alternative houses I could put on an RV lot, like the container home I showed you today, like other things that would be manageable. Because again, the container home, that's hurricane proof pretty much. It's one story. It's everything a single person needs. Now if you were married, they make bigger ones. But it's a non-conforming thing. The masses don't want that. I get that. But I've been at a place for over a decade where I owned a luxury condo, 1,000 square feet, with 2 bedrooms. And what I could tell you is, it's good when you want to be social and when you want to invite people over. And it is more of a home. And I even survived a hurricane in it, Hurricane Sandy. But it's also, if you're not going to have a family and if you don't want to socialize, and it's going to just make you lonely and they're not really needed. And it's going to make you like forced to have people over so you can impress them. And that's the other thing. Like, I get it, because even me, like, I look at things and say it's not impressive. But when you have something impressive, you want to show it off. So you like invite people over, and everyone's living their own life. They really don't want to come over. And you create this stress and this anxiety in your life and in others' lives where it's a show. I'm not saying it's all wrong, but it's something I'm conscious of because I lived. And, it's like, someone left a comment on my container home and said, well, a girl would never come in there. Well, are you going to get to a point where you build a house to impress a girl, and then when you marry her, and if you get a divorce, are you going to blame her that you built a house to impress her, and then you're going to become men going their own way? A lot of people do that. I won't do that. Why? I take accountability for my life, what I buy, what I do, even if I make a mistake. So you better be damn careful when you buy a house, when you buy a car, when you buy an outfit to impress someone else. Your life is going to be based on making other people like you, or you like them. Or you got to be careful. That's a toxic situation. The Talk 64. Someone hit my driver's side mirror. I'm sorry about that. Hit and run. I didn't get severely angry. Good for you. I was calm and went to get a temp mirror until I ordered the authentic replacement. Well, good for you for staying calm. That's, as you get older, that's a great win. And that's a sign of emotional maturity. And I focus on that a lot now, because you have to always be conscious of that. That's a goal of mine, to not get out of control. So that's a good job. Andrew, Talk, what's up? Hope all is well. Talk, Andrew, I'm good, bro. Glad that God woke me up this morning. Well, I hear you. Sometimes it's a give and a take. Oh, Michelle, I'm sorry I'm late on this. Michelle, $20. You're amazing. Beautiful super sticker, gracious super chat that I'm late on. Damn it, Michelle. May you never have to wait for a thank you. And I'll tell you, I apologize for making you wait, but I want to tell you, I can say so many things to try to make you feel appreciated, but I feel that I would just be giving you a speech. And I told someone the other day, when something's good or when you want to say thank you, just say thank you and shut up. Because if you try to over express how you feel, you fumble the football. You know how quick the panties go up when you start talking too much? Very quick. So, Michelle, for the simple sake that I don't want the panties to go up, I want to say thank you and I want to shut up. And I appreciate that super sticker. Damn it. And I appreciate everyone. Been very gracious. Everyone say thank you. I appreciate that, Michelle. Very gracious of you. Thank you, man. Thank you. Beautiful. Andrew. Tox, glad to hear. Andrew, thank you for that concern, bro. Andrew, sorry to heat about the hit and run, but you are going about it the right way. I agree. Michelle, thank you again, Michelle. Michelle, love your rich lifestyle video from 2 years ago. Oh, yeah, that was a long time ago. Yeah. Trying to get there, sold my house, okay, and furniture a few months ago, okay. Trying to build multiple streams of income before I move. Excellent order. The first order of things is to keep a job, keep your W-2. Second is to liquidate before you sell. Is to liquidate before you buy another big purchase. So keep your job, liquidate. Sounds like you did that in order. Okay. Remember, in an emergency, you do things in order to relieve pressure. Next is build up your income. Don't try to live so cheap that you don't need income, because you always need income. You always got to feed yourself. You always got insurance. You always got gas, and you always want to live life. I don't care. In some ways I don't spend money, but in other ways I spend money. I like to, go to Starbucks. I like to eat out. I don't like, I like to invest certain things. So keep a job, steady job, sell big assets. Don't buy another one. Multiple sources of income. Now, worst case scenario, you have a job, you have savings from your sale, and you have multiple sources of income. Now you got options. Now you're not in an emergency. See, if you reverse that, Michelle, and everyone listening, thank you again, Michelle. If you reverse that, if you quit your job, if you buy something before you sell something, and you try to live cheap and you stop doing all side hustles, now you're in an emergency. So good job, Michelle, in positioning yourself like Charles Barkley to get the rock, not to drop the rock. Good job, Michelle. Excellent job. John Pond. And remember, too, this other thing I want to share with you, whether you're investing or side hustles, anything. Until you have 3 to 5 years of tax returns showing that you have sustainable income, don't include it as a side hustle. Because until you have tax returns showing that you're in a profitable venture, it's just a hobby. You need that data so that you don't become delusional. Like, you could sell a book, you could sell t-shirts, you can have a YouTube channel. But if you're not making provable taxable income or earning a certain amount, it's just a hobby. And you got to be careful, because you got to help yourself. Don't hurt yourself. John Pond. I applied for a 700 square foot apartment yesterday. That's your next step. I see it. You always say one person only needs 500 square feet. I think about that for myself, check myself. So hopefully if it's enough room, it's plenty of room. Yeah, that's a great thing. So we always need data to check our gut. One person actually only needs 250 square feet. 2 people can definitely handle 500 square feet. So 500 square feet for one person is plenty. So that's excellent measuring the data. Tox. Andrew, thanks. As you get older, you learn to handle situations a lot more clear-headed. Yeah, I was reading, statistics show that men fully become emotionally mature, on average, there's exceptions, at 43, and women at 39. Now, of course, there's exceptions. We all know it. And of course, you never have to stop checking yourself and growing yourself and disciplining yourself. But it does take a while. Like, you fully develop physically at 19, your brain fully develops at 25, but then emotionally, you got to work on yourself till you're like middle age, 40. And again, it never stops, because life never stopped coming at you. So, those are interesting numbers. Denise, I just bought a tiny home, cash, in Tampa area. No mortgage, minimal expenses, retiring in April, escape Tampa. Well, congratulations, Denise. That's number one. Number two is I think about my own situation. Paying in cash is good. The only negative is you lose a lot of liquidity. And the only negative is, tiny home, just like I've bought RVs and mobile homes, they're not an appreciating asset per se. The key piece of the puzzle is you need to own the land that you put that tiny home on. Because if not, it's like you're just renting a place to put your RV. Um, so, and not to be negative, but that's my experience. But even when you own it though, you still got to have property taxes. It's going to be like the same thing as your monthly lot rent, but you're going to have the equity. So you say, well, if I'm going to have lot rent, why own the land? I'm going to have to pay property taxes, same thing as lot rent. Well, eventually, over time, that equity in the land builds up and you could cash it out. When you don't own the land, you never gain equity and the rent goes up. Now, if you can't afford to own the land, it's understandable. But you just have to be cautious then how much you put into a tiny home, RV, or mobile home, because they're going to go down in value. Most people don't want to buy them, and you burn up a lot of cash, which again, I've been through, so I understand it. But that's why a big part of my journey was waiting until I could buy the land, because then even if you sell the RV, you got the land, which is the asset. Okay, and that's what you got to be careful with the tiny home thing. I'm also late on this. Lacen Henry, 1999 super sticker. Race quit. All right, well, don't quit the rat race till you got the bag right. I want to tell you, Lacen Henry, I want to thank you. I can't believe how gracious you guys and girls are tonight. Lacen Henry, I wish I could say so many positive things, but just like I told Michelle, I don't like to be disingenuous and give you a big thing, but I also do. I feel very thankful. I mean, it's a great feeling when you feel like, when you get compensated financially, number one, I mean, I can lie to you. And then number two, you feel appreciated. I mean, it's both, right? So I remember I had a great manager at times, once in a while he'd call me office, give me a little bonus. I felt great about it. So thank you, Lisa, and thank you everyone tonight that's come in and tipped me. Thank you. You didn't have to do it. I don't feel entitled to it, but I appreciate it, and I don't feel guilty for it because I'm trying to do my best, but it's not mandatory. So thank you, Layson. Best of luck to you on your journey, and best of luck to everyone, because life, one day at a time. That's the message tonight, basically. The Talk says, Denise, congratulations. I agree. Me, myself, I'm a first-time RV owner. No more high rent. Yeah, well, you're going to have lot rent, or you're going to have gas, maintenance, and you're going to need somewhere to park it. And that's the thing that I want to tell you from my experience. You can't live a life where you don't need money. Doesn't matter how you live. It's just a matter of what you want to spend your money on and the lifestyle you want to live. So you buy an RV, you're not relieving rent. Gas is now your rent to tow your rig or drive your rig. A place to park is crucial because that's, and three is your rig, your RV or your motorhome is going to need maintenance. That's rent. And it's eventually going to need to be replaced. That's a big capital expense. Don't quit your job and think you can live so cheap that you can live on poverty level. It only going to make your life harder. Good job. Alina, so great to see you live again. Thank you, everyone. You are one of a kind in a very good way. Well, I appreciate the positive words. Again, think of the Cheers song from the sitcom. You want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be around people that you appreciate them, and they appreciate you. You go in the store, they appreciate you, you appreciate them. That's your environment. And I want to tell you, I'm so sensitive to my environment. When I go into an establishment and the energy's wrong, I don't blame them. I don't judge them. I say, I need to go somewhere else. Never try to change people. Change yourself and change your environment. Remember, your car has wheels. And remember, your house can be sold. As painful as it is, it can be sold. That's right. You say, well, my house doesn't have wheels. Well, sell it. I've done it twice. Do whatever I got to do. I'm not going to stay where I'm not appreciated. It ain't going to happen. Fuck out of here, man. Michelle, thank you. Thank you, Michelle. You were very gracious. God, I appreciate you. Talks. Sam, where is it safe to park an RV motorhome in order to go 6, 8 hours of office work. All depends where you're at. Every environment is different. That's impossible for me to answer. All the, every, like I say, every environment is different. You travel a half hour northwest, east, south, it's different. And every state is different, right? So it would be impossible for me to give you a good answer, because it's just, you have to assess your environment and what's allowed, what's not allowed, where you think you go, where you're not. Everything's different. Michelle, yes, I work from home. There you go. Good job, Michelle. My kids, hey, my kids. Is that a deer or is that a raccoon? I like raccoons. Oh no, that's not a raccoon. That's a kangaroo. You from Australia? Tox, Michelle. Those work at home jobs are severely hard to get. So many scam sites like Indeed and other resumes. Well, just remember, one is, you always have to ask yourself, what's your current job history? If you don't have a job history, anything is going to be a scam. Why? Because you're trying to get nothing out of something. I remember when I was very young, I ordered a book. It was like, back in the day when I was very young, in my late teens, 20s, it was a book like, you order this book and it tells you about government jobs that pay over $25. And I ordered the book like a fool, and I got it, and they basically tell you nothing. But you learn is you ain't going to get something for nothing. No one's going to hire you to be a remote worker if you ain't got no experience. I mean, unless you're doing like a customer service thing. And even that you got to be wary of, right? Because you got to think about, if you were hiring someone, would you go looking for someone who isn't working and hasn't worked for years? I mean, you got to be honest with yourself. What you been doing for the last, 2-3 years? So I've been looking at tiny homes. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, they look at you like you crazy as hell. Maya, I'm 51, still 20 at times. So I hear you. I don't try to change people. I just do what I need to do for me, and I don't want to hurt people or say disrespectful things, because I hear you. I understand life. Michelle, I have a real work at home job. Good job. I salute you. Andrew's laughing good. With that being said, let's end on a high note. Why? Because when you stretch out the conversation, two things happen. The panties get pulled up, or they start throwing stuff at you. Why? Because no one wants to hear too much. Okay? Keep it short, simple, and when things are going good, gracefully exit the stage. Okay? Thank you, everyone, for watching. There were a lot of gracious people tonight with the super chats and the positive comments. I don't take it for granted, and it's not wasted. I appreciate it. Thank you.